Look around. There's laughter spilling across the room, voices overlapping, words dancing in the air like sparks from a fire. Everyone seems to belong to the noise except one. At the edge of it all, someone sits quietly. Not withdrawn, not awkward. Just still. They watch the way people's hands move when they talk. They notice the rhythm of the laughter, who laughs to be polite, and who laughs from the heart. They see the flicker of uncertainty behind the confident smile. In a world built on performance, silence is often mistaken for absence. We live in a culture that celebrates volume, where to be seen, you must speak, where the loudest voice often wins. And yet, here is someone whose strength lies not in being heard, but in hearing. The quiet ones often go unnoticed. They don't chase the spotlight. They don't compete for space. But behind that calm surface, something vast is happening. 1,000 thoughts unfolding, connections forming, emotions quietly rippling like water beneath still glass. Their silence isn't emptiness. It's presence. It's attention sharpened to a fine point. It's the art of being fully here, not to reply, but to understand. Maybe you've been that person, the one who watches while others speak. And maybe you've wondered if your quiet was a flaw. But what if it was your way of seeing the world more clearly than anyone else? Silence unsettles people. When someone sits quietly in a room full of voices, we start to wonder, are they shy? Are they bored? Do they think they're better than us? We rush to name what we don't understand. Because in a world that worships sound, silence feels like rebellion. From the time we were children, we were told to speak up, to participate, to have something to say. And so, when someone doesn't, we assume something must be wrong. But maybe they're not absent. Maybe they're just present in a different way. In our culture, noise is mistaken for confidence. The one who talks the most is seen as strong. The one who listens is seen as weak. Yet there are places in the world where silence is sacred, where to pause before speaking means you are weighing the truth, where listening is the purest form of respect. The quiet one at the end of the table isn't empty. They're full of observation, of empathy, of stories still unspoken. They are watching the way words ripple through the room, how someone's smile falters when another voice cuts them off, how laughter sometimes hides loneliness. But because we fear what we can't read, we label them. We say, too quiet, when what we really mean is too deep. We call them distant, when they're simply seeing farther than the rest of us. Silence doesn't need a label. It isn't shyness, or arrogance, or disinterest. Sometimes, it's just wisdom choosing to breathe before adding more noise to the world. And if you've ever been misunderstood for your silence, for the way you observe, think, and feel quietly, I'd love to hear what that experience was like for you. Share it in the comments below. Your story might be the one that makes another quiet soul feel seen. At first glance, they look alike, the shy one and the quiet one. Both linger at the edges of conversation, both hesitate before they speak. But inside, their silence comes from two very different worlds. Shyness is a tremor beneath the skin. It's the heartbeat that quickens before every word, the whisper that says, "Don't embarrass yourself, don't be seen too much." It's fear dressed as politeness, a constant worry about how others might judge. The shy person wants to join in, but their courage and their anxiety never arrive at the same time. Introversion is quieter still, but not out of fear, out of peace. They are not afraid of people. only of losing themselves in too much noise. They listen, they think, they wait, not because they doubt their voice, but because they don't feel the need to prove it. To the outside world, both seem distant. But inside, one is trembling to be heard, and the other is resting in the comfort of silence. We often confuse the two, calling every calm soul shy, when sometimes that calm is simply their way of breathing. Their quiet is not a cage. It's a home, a space where their thoughts can stretch before they choose which one deserves to touch the air. Every person carries an invisible battery. Some charge in the sun through laughter, movement, conversation. Others charge in the shade through stillness, reflection, quiet time alone. For the extrovert, people are light. Every handshake, every story shared, every burst of laughter refills their energy. Their brain hums on dopamine, the spark of excitement, the rush that comes from being surrounded by life. They leave a party glowing, alive, as if the world itself had breathed energy back into them. For the introvert, that same room feels different. The lights seem brighter, the music sharper, each voice another wave pressing against their mind. Their battery drains not because they dislike people, but because every sound, every emotion, every detail enters them too deeply. Their brain runs on another current, acetylcholine, a slower, gentler rhythm that thrives in calm, that rewards introspection and quiet focus. When they retreat, it isn't rejection, it's recharge. It's the body whispering, enough for now. They find peace in silence, not as an escape, but as a return to balance, to clarity, to themselves. The world often praises those who burn bright, but the quiet ones, they glow differently, like candles in the dark, steady, warm, and lasting. The world is louder than it's ever been. Screens glow day and night. Notifications pulse like tiny alarms, pulling at our attention, our thoughts scattered before they can even take root. We scroll, we reply, we perform. Every moment asks for a reaction. Every silence feels like failure. And slowly, we forget what it means to simply be. For the quiet soul, this noise is not harmless. It seeps into the body, a constant hum beneath the skin. Too much light, too many voices, too many opinions, chasing each other through the mind until even rest feels unreachable. The world, in its hunger for connection, has confused visibility with existence. We are told to show up, to be active, to stay relevant. But no one teaches us how to stay whole. And so, the quiet ones learn to wear masks of noise, posting, smiling, performing, until their silence starts to ache inside. They go home exhausted, not from the world itself, but from pretending to belong to it. Maybe that's the tragedy of our time, that we live in constant conversation, yet have forgotten the language of stillness. The truth is, we weren't built for endless stimulation. We were built for moments, for one voice, one thought, one breath at a time. When a quiet person is silent, it's easy to think nothing is happening. But inside, there is motion constant, layered, alive. Their mind isn't empty, it's a whole orchestra playing beneath the calm. While others think out loud, they think in silence. Words, ideas, emotions all move through them like light filtering through deep water. They don't speak just to fill the air. They build entire worlds before releasing a single sentence. Ask them a question, and you may wait a moment. In that pause, they are running simulations. seeing how an idea might unfold, how it might break, how it might heal. They weigh their words like an artist, choosing colours, wanting each one to mean something, to land softly, truthfully. This is why their answers often feel complete. Not loud, not rushed, but whole. They've already tested every version in their mind before they let it touch the air. To some, that pause looks like hesitation. To them, it's precision. In a world obsessed with speed, they move at the rhythm of depth, slow, deliberate, honest. Their silence is not distance, it's craftsmanship. Every thought is carved, smoothed, refined. And when they finally speak, it's like watching a door quietly open to reveal a room you didn't know was there. It takes patience to hear them, but if you do, you'll find that what they say often echoes long after the noise has faded. Silence gives them sight. While the world rushes to speak, the quiet ones watch not just what's said, but everything that lives between the words. They notice the tiny tremor in someone's voice when they say, "I'm fine." They see the smile that ends too quickly, the eyes that look away when truth gets too close. They catch the small kindnesses no one else sees. A glance of reassurance, a hand placed gently on the table, the sigh of someone pretending to be strong. Their silence becomes a lens, sharpening details others blur. Because they aren't waiting for their turn to talk, they're listening completely. And when you are fully present like that, you start to see everything that hides beneath performance. In groups, they map the unspoken currents: who interrupts, who withdraws, who carries hidden grief. They read power dynamics the way others read headlines. And beneath it all, they feel deeply, instinctively. It's empathy turned inward, then outward, a quiet current that connects them to everyone in the room. But this gift has weight. To see so much is to feel so much. Sometimes they leave a gathering not drained by noise, but by emotion, all the invisible storms they walked through without anyone noticing. They don't just hear the world, they absorb it, and that is both their tenderness and their burden. Not every silence is peaceful. Some are born from fear, some are built like walls high, careful, trembling. There are people who learned far too early that speaking came with a cost. Maybe every time they tried, someone talked over them. Maybe their thoughts were met with laughter, or anger, or the kind of dismissal that teaches you your voice is better kept inside. So they stopped, and the world mistook their silence for calm. But inside, it's not calm, it's survival. It's the echo of a lesson that said, if I stay quiet, I stay safe. This kind of quiet is heavy. It's the silence after shame, the quiet of a child who once reached out and found nothing waiting. Over time, that silence becomes muscle memory, a reflex stronger than courage. You can see it in their eyes when someone asks a question too directly, in the small flinch, the quick smile, the way they look down before they answer. It's not disinterest, it's history. This is the silence that doesn't recharge, the one that doesn't heal. It doesn't come from peace, it comes from protection. But even here, there is hope, because the same instinct that once guarded them can one day guide them home to a gentler kind of quiet, the kind that no longer hides, but finally rests. Healing doesn't mean becoming loud. It means learning to let your voice exist even softly. For those who have lived in silence too long, the first words feel fragile, like glass in the throat. But healing begins the moment you speak for yourself, not for approval, not for applause, but for truth. You don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to trust that your words matter. Write them down, whisper them to the night. Share them with one person who listens without fixing. Each time you do, your voice finds its way back to you. Healing also means honoring your rhythm. It's okay to step away from noise, to need quiet after the world has taken too much. Solitude isn't isolation, it's medicine for an overwhelmed heart. And when you return, when you finally speak again, your words carry a different weight. They come from a place that knows both silence and pain, and that's why they heal others too. You don't have to be louder to belong. You only need to be real, even if your truth arrives in a whisper. Maybe the world will never fully understand the quiet ones, but that's okay. Not everything sacred needs to be explained. Silence has its own language. The way morning light spills gently through a window, the pause before someone says something real, the heartbeat that reminds you you're still here. The quiet mind isn't empty. It's a garden growing slowly, tenderly, beneath the noise. It notices what others rush past. It feels before it speaks. And when it finally does, its words have already lived a long, thoughtful life inside the heart. You don't need to compete with the noise of the world. Your calm, your reflection, your gentleness, these are not flaws. They are your power. Because in a world that's always shouting, the whisper that comes from truth will always be heard. So, if this spoke to you, if you've ever felt unseen for being quiet, you're not alone here. This space is made for you. Take a breath. Share your thoughts below. And if you'd like to keep exploring the hidden corners of the human mind, subscribe. Stay. We listen here.